I got over 50,000 views on my last DVD collections video, and it's time to show you all my new collection. These are all the new DVDs I've collected over the past couple years, and I've went to a lot of thrift stores, and I have a lot to show for it. Most of these DVDs I got on sale on the right colored days, and they're about $1 or $2. We're gonna go over every single DVD I have, and we're gonna check out what I know about it or why I bought them. If you like this DVD content, go ahead and subscribe and like down below. Here we go, the first DVD. This is a copy of Militia with Dean Cain. This is something special about this DVD. As you can see, it's in a different kind of container than most DVDs have. That's because this was a very early DVD. They came in these jewel case-like containers. It's from 2002. That's a little bit late for this kind of case. You're more likely to see this in 1997, 98, 99, etc. Next up, we have a movie called Derailed with Exhibit and RZA. Can't go wrong with that. Jennifer Aniston is also in it. The thing I like about DVDs is a lot of times they have the unrated version, which will not be shown on most streaming services. This has all the stuff they couldn't put on streaming services. Now you see here the tag says $4. I am never going to pay $4 for a DVD. This was half off at Value Village. We have Robin Hood. This is the unrated director's cut. Russell Crowe and Cate Blanchett. The untold story behind the legend. Judging by the rugged look of Russell Crowe's face, I will say this is past 2012. Let's see here. This movie came out in 2010. Next up, we have Suicide Squad. This is a more modern movie that a lot of people have already seen. Suicide Squad, of course, features Jared Leto, Will Smith, Viola Davis, and the gang. Is this your favorite Joker? If so, why? Next up, TV show, Family Guy Volume 2. It's a 3-disc set, and this one happens to be sealed, completely new, never watched. Family Guy. Family Guy Volume 2. This is when they actually had fresh content, and they hadn't already covered everything under the sun. Next up, a movie with Claire Danes called Broke Down Palace. Not Brokeback Mountain. Broke Down Palace. Kate Beckinsale and Bill Pullman. Looks like a sexy teenage thriller. Yep, that's right, it is. It's thrilling. This one came out in 1999. I've never seen it, but it looks interesting. Next up, we have a movie called Clash. This looks like an action-packed adventure with Johnny Try Youngin. Sorry, I'm really bad with these names. Johnny Try, I don't know how to pronounce that. Veronica Neo, I think. This is probably not on a lot of streaming platforms. This was an Asian movie from 2010. Next up, something a little different. This is a sports movie, Michael Jordan to the Max, presented by MVP.com. This goes over Michael Jordan and how amazing he truly was in the 90s. And next up, we have another old school DVD case. This is a jewel case-like case, and this one is called The Painted Hills Lassie. This is a classic family entertainment. A lot of times when I see these old cased movies, I buy them just because they're a rare oddity for DVDs. Originally, the price tag was $5.99. In the 90s, that movie probably would have been about $15. Here's a movie, The Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys. Now this one sparked my interest because it features a lot of actors you recognize today, like Emil Hirsch, Kieran Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's brother, and this is a coming-of-age story with a Catholic twist. Now, it is true that altar boys do live dangerous lives. We're not going to get into that, but y'all know the story. Here's a movie you may not have heard of. It's called The Star. It's a tale of faith and friendship. And it has 6 sing-alongs from Mariah Carey with Fifth Harmony. An animated children's movie from 2020. Here's a DVD set called Generation Kill from the creators of The Wire, which is one of my favorite HBO TV shows. This is Generation Kill. I haven't heard of it, but if it's anything like The Wire, it's going to be a guaranteed smash hit. I love this DVD set. It comes with a booklet. A booklet of pictures and scenes from the TV show. Next up, we have a movie called The Blind Side by Sandra Bullock. This is a Blu-ray disc. I do try to avoid Blu-ray discs because they are typically more expensive. I must have found this one for a good deal. This is a classic football movie about an adopted footballer who's adopted by Sandra Bullock. If only we were all so lucky to be adopted by Miss Sandra Bullock. Next up, you may have seen him on that one nursing show. Anyway, this is called Trippin'. He's a legend in his own mind, but he thinks he's trippin'. Scrubs. He was on Scrubs. That's right. This is probably a low-budget movie, but it looks pretty hilarious. Next up, Dynamite Warrior, from the creators of The Protector, Born to Fight, and Ong Bak, another Asian action movie. This movie probably cost millions of dollars to make, and I bought it for $1. we have a movie called Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, with the very funny man to the right, whose name is Topher Grace. Josh Duhamel, of course, gets the girl because he's much taller and more attractive. This is a funny and charming movie. I'm sure it is. It's from the directors of Legally Blonde. Here's something that sparked my interest. This is a History Channel documentary called The Century of Warfare, following the progression of military tactics. I'm a big fan of that kind of thing, and I kind of miss the old History Channel, where you used to be able to watch stuff about actual history, not ancient aliens and weird conspiracy theories. Although I have some DVDs on that as well, coming up. Jackie Chan in Crime Story, the best pure thriller Chan has ever starred in. That's a bold claim. I'll have to watch it and find out if it's true. Now, a lot of the movies you see me going through now, they're not the basic movies you see in most thrift stores. They're not Step Brothers or Talladega Nights or Saving Private Ryan. I already have those in my collection. So most of the DVDs you see here are more of the obscure DVDs, the ones that you can't find everywhere, and a lot of them I've never even heard of. But I think they'll look beautiful in my collection. Another Jackie Chan film. This one's called Robin B. Hood. One big ransom, one small problem. There's a baby involved. Well, I'd say that is a problem. Can you find this on streaming platforms? I dare you to try. Next up, we have a movie called Knockdown, an action movie with Tom Arnold. He doesn't get a lot of roles anymore, so I'd be delighted to see him in something. This is Knockdown, came out in 2010. Next up, this was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, which makes me think it didn't actually win any, but it was nominated. Paul Giamatti, Thomas Hayden Church, Virginia Madsen, and Sandra Oh. And it looks like they're trying to find out who they are into their older age. Here's a movie you might have missed, even though it's a film not to be missed. It's called Swing Kids, and it looks like it's set during World War II. 1939 Germany declares war on freedom and demands conformity from its youth, but they're swing kids that rebel with their swing music from America. I love movies that take place during this era, and I'm looking forward to watching this one. Here's Jennifer Garner at perhaps I would say her most beautiful and lovely. Garner electrifies in Elektra. She was in an action movie before Ben Affleck, and this is an early Marvel movie. Next up, I believe this is a documentary. Oh, this is not a documentary. This is in fact a comeback movie for Jean-Claude Van Damme, the king of action films in the early 90s. This is one of him returning back to form in 2008. Here we go, a more modern movie. This is Oz the Great and Powerful. Disney makes so many movies now that it's hard to keep track of all of their films. I didn't even hear about this one, but here I have it in my hands. This is a James Franco film. 2013. Wow, completely flew under the radar for me. Here's a classic, or should I say a sequel to a classic. This is The Jungle Book 2. Find out what Mowgli's up to now. Where is he now anyway? Hopefully he's doing well. He looks like he is, judging from the images. There's a love interest, and it's an absolute delight from beginning to end. Here's a movie I actually have seen. This is The Night Before. Of course, The Night Before Christmas. This is not your typical Christmas movie. This one is a little bit edgier, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen, and the guy from Marvel. This is 2015, and I recommend this to the adult audience out there. Here's another one I haven't seen, but I will say Tom Cruise is one of my favorite actors, and I don't believe he misses. He's one of the greatest actors of our generation, and he makes excellent films. I can't remember the last one that I did not like. This is The Mummy, not to be confused with The Mummy from the late 90s. Features Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise. What more could you need? 2017. Here's an action, Crank 2, High Voltage with Jason Statham, the man whose hair keeps growing and getting cut off. This is a sealed movie I got for half off at $2. This is at the peak of Jason Statham's career, 2009. Here's a movie for another historical period that I'm interested in. This is Nero, The Decline of the Empire. This was a previously viewed movie from 2007, Blockbuster. They were trying to sell it for $10 back in the day, but I got it for $2, half off. This came out in 2005. Here's a cult classic movie called Thinner, based on the famous book by Stephen King. This is the digitally mastered THX widescreen version. Thinner is a classic movie that I believe I did watch in the late 90s and would love to watch it again. The King of Pop himself, Michael Jackson, live in Bucharest. The Dangerous Tour. Now, whatever your opinions are of Michael Jackson, he was a great performer. And this captures his live event in Bucharest. Here's a show I used to watch called Ghost Hunters Live from the Stanley Hotel, featuring wrestling star CM Punk. Of course, she would go on to be very famous in the WWE and have a long career in wrestling. This follows Jason Grant and the Ghost Hunters as they revisit the notoriously haunted Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado for a live Halloween night investigation. Should be pretty spooky. I'm not sure what CM Punk is doing there, though. Next up, we have a movie called Shop Girl. This looks like two men fighting for the affection of one much younger woman. Steve Martin, Claire Danes, Jason Schwartzman. One of the smartest, funniest romantic comedies in a long time. I don't get a lot of romantic comedy movies, but I do like to have a well-rounded DVD collection. This one is actually sealed. It's the classic Bring It On movie and the sequel Bring It On All or Nothing, and the even worse sequel, Bring It On Again. This 3-pack was a good deal for me. $2 for 3 movies, originally owned by Peyton Graham. Here's another History Channel movie with a lot of information. This is called Decoding the Past, Secrets of Kabbalah, the ancient religion. We're not going to get too conspiratorial, but I do have some conspiratorial DVDs in my collection, as I like to get information that is not readily known by most people. Here's a movie. Let's see if you recognize this fella here. He would later go on to be one of the greatest actors of all time, Jack Nicholson. This is one of his very early roles in a movie called The Terror. It looks like a very low-budget horror film. This thing is so obscure, I doubt you could find it in that many places. This is a 2004 release of The Terror. Here's a movie with Nicole Kidman called Birth. She's also a fine female actress, and I enjoy her work very much. This looks like a spooky film from the early 2000s. Here's a movie with the great Clive Owens and Helen Mirren called Green Fingers, where it looks like prisoners are tending to the garden of Miss Helen Mirren. This movie came out in 2001. Next up, this one is a famous classic movie called Sleeping Beauty, but this is the 50th anniversary, the Platinum Edition. Now, I do actually have Disney Plus at home, but I do like the option of having the DVD movie if I ever do want to cancel Disney Plus. It's always good to have DVDs. I encourage anybody to start a collection of their own. Here's one that's a little different. This is Maxxis Enduro Cross. This is a motocross movie from Las Vegas. Here's another kids movie, Rescue Heroes the Movie. If you have any kids, nephews, or nieces, they'll probably enjoy this movie very much. A full-length Fisher-Price movie with CGI animation. That was being promoted at the time because this was 2002, fairly early in the CGI animation days. Here's a film you might not have seen before. This is Lady Gangster. It's an old movie, and it's probably in black and white. Oh no, they colorized it. I love some of these old films. You can see how the style and change in voices and the style of clothing has changed in America over the past 80 or 100 years. Here's one that I remember watching as a kid. This is Hey Arnold, but this is the movie Hey Arnold. It was such a big TV show that they finally did make it into a movie. I'm sure I watched this 20 years ago, but now I have it on DVD and can watch it with my kids. Here's another old movie called Laura. This is a film noir movie, which is a moody movie they used to make in the 30s and 40s, one of the most popular genres at the time. This is a smart and sparkling film. Here's another documentary film called Doctored. The film the AMA does not want you to see. This goes into the bad things in the American health system and exposes some of the things they do. Here's an interesting one. This is Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny. This is hosted by Newt and Callista Gingrich. Interesting. This follows the life of Ronald Reagan and is obviously a positive look at his presidency. Here's a movie that you couldn't escape in the 90s, Stomp, the musical. It was captured in this DVD movie called Stomp Out Loud. Stomp is, of course, the musical where they use everyday items around the house and garbage items to make music. Tommy Lee Jones and Hilary Swank in The Homesman. Hilary Swank is a fine actress, and I do like Tommy Lee Jones as well. It was rated fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Here's a movie with a young Ray Romano and Kevin James called Grifted. They have 12 hours to make a sale or they're cooked. Pressure for the salesman. If it's anything like Glengarry Glen Ross, this is sure to be a good film. Here's an outdoor film called The Bear. The greatest thrill is to not kill, but to let live. Hopefully he doesn't get eaten by a bear. Hopefully they become friends and live a beautiful life together like in Jungle Book. Here's a local film. It's a sports film about Edgar Martinez, the Seattle Mariner. Here's an animated film called Valiant. One that you might not have heard of, but it does, from the same producers as Shrek and Shrek 2. Another Disney movie to add to my big collection. This is another sealed movie called Rick Stevens' Europe, A Symphonic Journey. This is a musical DVD from 2009. This is a movie I have seen. It's called Rush by Ron Howard, based on a true story. Early F1 drivers and what it was like to be an F1 driver in the 70s and 80s. Here's another film with a big wrestler. This is Kane. See No Evil. Interesting thing about this wrestler slash actor Kane is that he's actually the mayor of a city in the United States now. He actually has a political career and he does very well. Would you vote for a man that looks like that? Well, you might, because someone did. The Batman Superman movie. The animation style back then was a lot different. It was the more traditional cartoons, and this is the Batman movie with Superman. Here's a movie called The Air I Breathe with a star-studded cast. Kevin Bacon, Brendan Fraser, Andy Garcia, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Emile Hirsch, and Forrest Whitaker. This one came out in 2007. Pretty Persuasion. Evan Rachel Wood, Ron Livingston, and James Woods. If anybody follows James Woods on X, they know he is a brilliant man. This is an extremely funny comedy movie, brimming with zesty shock value. Zesty shock value? What does that mean? I'll have to find out. Here's a campy dog film called For the Love of Benji. Benji has a face... What? Benji has a face far more expressive than some human actors. That's a bold claim for a dog. Maybe he's the Leonardo DiCaprio of dogs. Next up, we have a copycat movie. They tried to capture the action of 300 and made this movie called Immortals. I'm sure it's far superior than the actual 300. I'm just kidding. It's probably not. But that's okay. It came out in 2011. Michael Douglas, a fine actor, and Albert Brooks in a movie called The In-Laws. And here's something interesting. You might recognize that guy. That's Ryan Reynolds. And he wasn't a big enough actor to even make the cover. Must have been one of his very early roles. This is 2003. Here's a movie called The Gift. I'm a big fan of thriller movies, not a huge fan of horror movies per se. But this is a thriller movie with another star-studded cast in 2011. We have a movie I do remember seeing back in the day. It's called Hide and Seek with Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning. This also includes 4 alternate endings. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Widescreen film in very good condition. This movie came out in 2005 and features a young Dakota Fanning. Next up, here's a more modern movie. This is a double feature with 2 family-friendly action movies, Journey to the Center of the Earth and Journey to the Mysterious Island. This will keep your family entertained for at least 4 hours. An earlier Marvel movie called Captain America: The First Avenger. This is the first Captain America movie, and some say the best superhero movie ever made. Here's another great value film I bought called Family 4-Pack. With 4 different animated films. The Race Begins, Life's a Jungle, Rockstars, and Legend of the Sea. It only takes these comedians a couple hours to film the voiceover for these movies so they can pump them out quickly. Here's a film I actually saw in IMAX, and I really did enjoy it. This is called Dunkirk. It captures the terrifying nature of war, and it actually covers a historical... This covers a real historical event of British troops being evacuated from mainland Europe in World War II. Here's a very funny movie with a funny cover that I had to buy. Now, I have no intention on really enjoying this film per se, but I'm the kind of person that likes to watch a movie and make fun of it. So this looks like it has a lot of subject matter to make fun of. This is called Energy, Dance, Body, Mind, and Spirit with Titania. This looks like a crazy movie with a crazy woman. Another young star-studded cast. This movie's called Diner, featuring all your favorite actors. The guy from Home Alone, Kevin Bacon, Paul Reiser, Mickey Rourke before his face got messed up. This looks like a bunch of knuckleheads in the 50s. Next up, a movie called Drawing Flies with Jason Lee. It looks like more independent film of the late 90s with some young actors. And there's a man with a diaper and a binky on the back. Executive produced by Kevin Smith, and it's in black and white. Wow, I doubt you can find this on streaming platforms. Here's a movie called Match Point, directed by Woody Allen. The now besmirched Woody Allen. A genuine triumph, hard-edged and seductive. Here's a young Vin Diesel before the fame of Fast and Furious. This is called Strays. Crass, funny, and startling sincere. A young Vin Diesel wows in this film, a sealed movie. Here's another Mickey Rourke film. He made a lot of these movies. Anthony Hopkins, Mimi Rogers, and Kelly Lynch. Looks like an action thriller starring Mickey Rourke. This came out in 1999. Richard Gere, Claire Danes in an action movie. Evil has many faces, and he's seen them all. He must be a hardened police officer. Here's some of my favorite crime fighters of the 90s. It's Power Rangers in a movie called Turbo. This movie came out in 2011. It's a fantasy adventure. Pierce Brosnan, James Bond in The November Man. Except this time, he's not James Bond. He's another different spy. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of space to hold all my DVD cases, so what I do for organization is I use Sanwa's DVD Cases from Amazon.com. I have a link down below, and if you also use the Sanwa cases, you'll be helping out this channel. I truly believe in Sanwa's products. They have a proprietary fabric that keeps your DVD safe. Sanwa has a host of different sizes for any DVD size case that you're looking for. They have cases that go up to 500 DVDs. They protect your valuable DVDs for a long life of enjoyment. Here's another action movie called Samurai Princess. It's a sexy action Asian movie featuring rocket feet, scissor legs, and yes, something grenades. Aw yeah, mama. Here's a movie that I can't remember if I saw. It's Muppet Treasure Island. The Muppets are back at it with this pirate-themed movie. Another Walt Disney classic. This is Randy Couture versus Brock Lesnar. This was a matchup that everybody was looking out for. It looks like a very unfair fight, and the person that won is the person you think won. An early UFC DVD, they're now one of the biggest fighting operations out there. Here's a movie with a young Mark Wahlberg and Chow Yun-Fat called The Corruptor. You can't play by the rules when there aren't any. I agree. That is true. That's also the way I play Monopoly. You've seen her animated, but have you seen her in real life? This is Dora the Explorer and the Lost City of Gold. It's a delightful family film, and it follows that trend of making real live movies of animated characters. Here's an animated movie from the 90s called The King and I. This is a famous story of The King and I, redone by Disney. This isn't Disney. Who does this? Doesn't it look like Disney? Nope, it's Warner Brothers. Here's an Al Pacino movie you may not have heard of. It's called The Manglehorn with Holly Hunter. Harmony Korine, Chris Messina. He looks like an evil villain the way he's petting that cat. This is a sealed movie. I don't know much about it, but Al Pacino is an entertaining actor. He's a bit outlandish, but he's very entertaining to say the least. Here's a movie that I'm sure my sister loved very much growing up, featuring Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Devon Sawa, and Scott Bairstow. Devon Sawa, of course, from the Eminem music video, Stan. This follows three young, trepidatious men getting trapped in the wild and having to survive. Here's another multiple film DVD. This is Letter of Introduction. It's a joke, son. That Certain Feeling, The Groom Wore Spurs, and many more. I tend to enjoy old films for the historical perspective. Here's a movie called The Magnus. Michael Caine, Anthony Quinn, Candice Berger, and Anna Karina. This looks like an early 70s film, and it's a cinema classics collection. It must be regarded highly. Here's a crazy movie that I had to buy because I think it would make me laugh. This is a 4-pack Spanish film. You see there's a tiger, a chimpanzee, a vampire, a scared man, and another guy. This thing looks outrageous. I can't wait to watch this and just laugh and laugh and laugh. Here's another Walt Disney movie called Bedtime Stories with Adam Sandler, back when he was doing Disney films. Now he has an exclusive contract with Netflix. Here's another motocross movie if you're interested in that kind of action DVD. Here's a 5 movies in one. Wow, that's a great deal. Michael Madsen, Martin Kove, and Eric Rogers. An action movie feast, all for $1. I couldn't just not buy it. Decision Before Dawn, nominated for 1951 Best Picture. This is a World War II movie, done only 6 years after World War II had actually ended. This is very close to when World War II actually happened, a very touchy subject that the world was still reeling from. Here's another World War II movie called Red Tails, featuring the all-black cast, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Terrence Howard. Here's a classic action star, Charles Bronson, in a movie called Assassination, and he's got a big gun. Only one man can stop a killer inside the White House, and it's this guy, Charles Bronson, with a gun big enough to blow up half of Washington, D.C. Here's a sealed film called Soul Surfer. Originally, they wanted $20 for this. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that's like paying $40 now. But oh, you get $10 in grocery money, prepaid MasterCard with purchase of this DVD. Expires 2011. Well, that's not a deal I can get anymore, unfortunately. This looks like a surfer movie, similar vein of Blue Crush. Next up, a more modern film. This is called Savages by Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone usually does historical films, but this one looks like an original action story. It's got Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy, plus ultraviolet Blu-ray that can be watched by the sun. I don't know what ultraviolet means. But anyway, I got a DVD and the Blu-ray. I only need the DVD. Does anyone want this Blu-ray? Let me know in the comments down below. Oh, and I don't know if this code has been used, but if you're interested, go ahead and try. Next up, we have Steven Seagal with his beautiful hair in a movie called General Commander. Such a generic title, but I'm sure the movie's not generic. This is more than revenge. This is redemption. General Commander. John Travolta and the voice of God, Morgan Freeman, in The Poison Rose. A Private Eye, A Public Murder, A Perfect Crime. Two famous movie actors going head to head in this film. Another John Travolta movie, The Punisher. I didn't know John Travolta was in The Punisher. This one was a 2004 movie of The Punisher. Every comedian's favorite comedian, George Carlin, Life is Worth Losing. This is only on HBO. Hard to find. This was one of his last DVDs before his unfortunate passing. Guillermo del Toro movie called The Orphanage. Guillermo del Toro is very disturbing, and his films are also disturbing. But I'm sure it's a well-done film with great bonus features like still galleries. Here's another disturbing film, but in a different way. This is the 5 Academy Award nominated movie, Doubt. One of the best films of the year, according to this person. This is Philip Seymour Hoffman before his untimely demise. On the brighter side, we have Cinderella 2. This is the sequel to Cinderella. It looks like everything is fine and nothing bad happens in this film. They've already conquered all the baddies, and this is just a ride off into the sunset, I guess. Here's a movie I saw in theaters back when it came out. This is Divergent, based on the worldwide best-selling books. It's exciting and spectacular. De Niro and Snipes in The Fan. All fans have a favorite player. This one has a favorite target. I mean, what else do you need to know about a movie? Snipes, De Niro? I mean, that sells the movie on its own. I feel like they make a lot of these movies with older actors like it's going to be their last film. Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Alan Arkin, going in style. It's almost like they thought they would die, so they put out a movie like this, and then those people just continue to live on and on and on and on. And these people don't go anywhere. He's made like 10 movies like this, but they're still alive. And I'm happy they're alive. I'm just saying, it's strange. Here's a classic James Stewart movie called Harvey. One of the most famous actors in the 40s and 50s. This is a classic film about Harvey. It's his imaginary friend, and it shows James Stewart losing his mind. We're going to have a White Christmas with Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This is a classic Christmas film. It used to be the #1 film for Christmas back in the day. Here's another documentary film following an inside job. It's about the global economic crisis of 2008. This tries to uncover what actually happened in 2008. And this is a crime story like no other in history. Here's a movie with a lot of actors you'll recognize. Joe Pesci, Brendan Fraser, Patrick Dempsey, Josh Hamilton. In this film called With Honors. Joe Pesci sports a beard in this one. That's different. Here's a strange movie with early CGI called Roughnecks. It's a Starship Troopers Chronicles movie with early computer graphics. I've never seen this before, and I thought it was very interesting. I'm a big fan of the Starship Troopers movie, and this is an early CGI animated sci-fi adventure. This came out in 2000. That CGI is going to be dubious at best. Here's another sealed film. This is about Jesus himself, the greatest story ever told. Before the Passion of the Christ, there was this. Here's the last movie in the Mummy Enterprise. It's called Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. And I do remember seeing this in theaters. I think it was 2017. I haven't seen this one. I saw the one in 2008. This is another mummy movie, and Brendan Fraser has great hair in it. What happened? I have seen this. This is The Fallen Kingdom, and you know about this movie. Here's one you don't know about. This is Fred Ward, Joel Grey, and Wilford Brimley in Remo Williams, a slam bang adventure. He looks like he has that old school kung fu. Here's something that I don't even know how to describe, to be honest. It's called Animusic, a computer animated video album. What does that mean? It looks like more early CGI, and this is some kind of DVD special feature type film. It's a stunning combination of unique computer animation and bombastic electric music. Here's a movie called Dragon Ball Evolution. It's a Dragon Ball Z movie. It was originally a pre-played movie from Movie Gallery that cost $20 and then $9, and now it's $1. It's amazing to see how far DVD prices have fallen off the past 20 years. Here's another James Bond film before he was James Bond. This is Mr. Johnson. How low budget can the movie be? This is set in Nigeria in 1923. Pierce Brosnan plays Harry Brubeck, an ambitious army officer seeking to build a road to the backwater town where he is posted. Here's another old film with the famous Marlon Brando. It's called One-Eyed Jacks. I have the sealed copy of that movie. Here's another big movie. This is called National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. National Treasure is a Disney movie. If you have Disney Plus, you have this movie. But I have this movie even if Disney Plus blows up in a huge entire fire. Here's a film with Josh Hartnett, recently featured on the new Netflix movie. He didn't make movies for a long period of time, but this is a movie during his heyday, 30 Days of Night. It's a vampire film featuring heartthrob Josh Hartnett. Here's one that I'm too embarrassed to talk about. Why about it? It's called Pussycat Workout Dolls, featuring lead singer Nicole Scherzinger in a dance performance you will not forget. This is kind of one of those outrageous DVD purchases I made just because I think it'd be funny to laugh at. Here's another one called Waking Up in Reno, featuring Billy Bob Thornton, Charlize Theron, Patrick Swayze, Natasha Richardson. It looks like a road trip movie featuring two couples. An all-star cast. What happened there? Well, it looks like they got together at some point. Next up, The Horse Whisperer, Robert Redford, Kristen Scott Thomas. 2 thumbs up. Wow, it's about a horse. Next up, the classic movie, Pink Panther, a comedy movie my dad used to watch, and he would make me watch it. While I thought it was funny, I don't know if comedy translates over 50 years of time. Here's another Brandon Fraser movie called Breakout. It's a more low-budget movie when he fell out of fashion. Of course, now he's on top of Hollywood in his rightful position. Here's another sealed 4-disc set. For the first time on DVD, this is Steve McQueen, Wanted Dead or Alive, Season 1. Steve McQueen, the famous movie actor of the 70s and 80s, looked like he started off by being a rowdy cowboy in this Western TV show. Another sealed movie, The Magnificent Seven. This features Yul Brynner, Eli Wallach, and Steve McQueen. This is a cult classic called Willow, featuring famous little person. I can't remember his name. Open it up, you see beautiful colored track listing. And it's a Lucasfilms movie. After Star Wars, he delved into the world of Willow. The comedy double feature, Richard Pryor Moving and Richard Pryor Greased Lightning. Cuba Gooding, Tom Berenger, A Murder of Crows. I've got a lot of thrillers in this one. That DVD leaves something to be desired. Here's a silent film that came out after 2000. It's called The Artist. 5-winner Academy Award, including Best Picture. This won all the awards because it did something different. It was a silent film, and I have it here on Blu-ray. This is about early film in Hollywood. Here's a funny movie that I have seen. It's called Paul. It's about an alien that interacts with 2 dimwits. It's from the director of Superbad. It looks like a vampire film with Steven Seagal. It was a pre-owned DVD from Blockbuster in 2009. Now it's mine forever, and I'll never let it go. Another Walt Disney movie, Oliver and Company. This is the 20th anniversary edition of this film. It's for the whole family. This one is not for the whole family. This is a raunchy romp called Bachelorette from the producers Will Ferrell and Adam McKay. Well, if you know what those guys like to get into, it's sure to be raucous. Here's a multi-movie extraordinaire. This is an 8-movie collection with Brad Pitt, Nicole Kidman, and James Coburn. It is a great value, I agree. It includes 8 total films: American Gun, Birthday Girl, Human Trafficking, Escape from Alaska, K2, and Jerry. I don't know how many of the James Bond movies I have, but this is one called Live and Let Die. James Bond, this is a sealed copy. I probably have at least 20 James Bond movies, and that's another one. Here's another animated movie called The Book of Life, some of the most breathtaking animation we've seen this decade, featuring Channing Tatum, Zoe Saldana, Diego Luna. Here's a play that they made into a movie, featuring He Who Shall Not Be Named, A Raisin in the Sun. Next up, we have Shirley Temple's Storybook Collection. This is 2 movies from Shirley Temple's career: Winnie the Pooh and Babes in Toyland. If you guys are liking this DVD video, give me a like down below and give me a comment. Let me know you like this kind of content and I'll do more of it. I have a lot of different DVD videos on my channel. If you're interested, you can click them and check them out. Next up, we have a scary Shrek movie called Scared Shrekless. This is a Shreked out parody of Michael Jackson's Thriller. It's Shrek and Michael Jackson, the collab you didn't know you needed. It also features 3 other short stories. We're back! A Dinosaur Story. This is the sequel to A Dinosaur Story, presented by Steven Spielberg, an animated film from the early 90s. Another Steven Seagal movie. This one's called The Foreigner. He has a silenced gun and he's in Paris, France. Oh, he's got a shotgun too. Steven Seagal is John Cold, a professional secret agent for hire, who's as cunning as he is deadly. Walt Disney, Sword in the Stone, the classic film. This is the gold collection version of Sword in the Stone. Next up, we have Vantage Point, and he's a Secret Service agent protecting the president. The president of the United States is struck down by an assassin's bullet. 8 strangers have a perfect view of the kill, but what did they really see? Wow, this is a little too close to home now after what has happened. That one deserves a watch in this modern time. Here's another movie called Unrated Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. These are the unrated version of these movies, guys. You can't find the unrated versions anywhere. Here's another animated movie called The Pirates, Band of Misfits. Laugh your booty off. Another family-friendly film that's great for everybody. Here's another great value 10-movie Western pack. John Wayne, Walter Brennan, Chuck Connors, Willie Nelson. I didn't even know Willie Nelson did movies like that back then. Each DVD, ooh, I'm missing one. Well, this DVD has 6 movies. That's good enough for me for $2. Here's a film called You Kill Me. Ben Kingsley is an assassin. They make a lot of movies about assassins. It's almost like they're glorifying that kind of life. The Art of the Steal. Kurt Russell, Jay Bucaro, Terrence Stamp, and Matt Dillon. Before you had the fame of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, there was this called Redneck Comedy. This features Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, Ron White, and a couple other people that fell out of fashion. This was an earlier DVD featuring their comedy, their stand-up comedy. Here's a movie called Psycho 3, featuring Anthony Perkins. I don't even remember the second one, but now I have the third one. I'll have to buy them all. Anthony Perkins stars and directs the most shocking psycho film of all. Another Walt Disney film. This one's called The Wild. Safe for the whole family to watch, but still might have some jokes for the adults. The Bridge on River Kwai. This is the kind of movie my dad would like. It was in 1957 nominated for Best Picture, and it won 7 Academy Awards. This is a surely classic film that everyone should watch. This one, on the other hand, is called Hell's Fury, Wanted Dead or Alive. It looks like they were trying to be like the movie True Grit, and they made that kind of film. Here's one with 2 famous action actors, Jet Li and Jason Statham. This movie's called War. This was a Hollywood Video movie. That was my go-to movie place back in the day when I was renting movies. I loved Hollywood Video. R.I.P. Paul Walker. This is the Lazarus Project. He made a lot of movies besides Fast and Furious, a lot of people might not be aware of. This is one of them, Lazarus Project. Here's an ESPN movie for home entertainment called Code Breakers. Honor is a code that should never be broken. It's a football film set at West Point Academy. Here's another movie called The Claim. He came to California looking for gold, and his past came looking for him. Well, the him must be that guy, because he's the only guy on the cover. Featuring a young Mila Jovovich. Bill Paxton in A Bright Shining Lie, based on the explosive true story of the Vietnam War. Here's another very conspiratorial DVD called Hidden Agenda, No Place to Hide, the strategy and tactics of terror. This is not a movie for everyone to watch, and just because I bought it doesn't mean I believe what it's saying, but I do like to look into information and judge for myself. Here's something I don't know much about. This is called A Bunch of Munch. The complete series, 13 animated adaptations from the best-selling author. This looks like they made an animated child series into a TV show. Here's a movie called The Time Machine. This one came out in 2002, and I don't know much about that one either. Here we have a movie with Don Johnson from Miami Vice fame. This one's called Dead Bang. Another action thriller. Here's a film with an interesting cover. It's with Sam Rockwell and Angelica Houston. It's a dirty-minded, satirical, psychotic comedy, and it includes unrated, deleted scenes. There might be a lot to chew on with this movie. It's a dirty one, it says. Oh boy. Here's a Nickelodeon film by SpongeBob SquarePants called Lost at Sea. It includes a double-length episodes. If you have a kid in your life, it's always good to have TV shows like this that they can watch. They like to watch stuff over and over anyway. Here's a Christmas story movie that's a little bit different. It's a South Park Christmas movie called Christmas Time. This is, in my opinion, when South Park was at its greatest in around 2007. They were really hitting their stride. Here's a movie with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, Night and Day. I remember when this was in theaters and I didn't get a chance to watch it, but now I have my own copy. I remember in the early days of YouTube, I would watch this series. It's called Red vs. Blue, and it follows the characters from Halo, but in a very comedic way. They make the Halo characters get into silly situations, and it's basically a parody of Halo. If you're a fan of Halo at all, you should check out Red vs. Blue. It's a must-watch. Another Walt Disney movie called Enchanted. They made a real live movie of the Enchanted film. An instant Disney classic. Here's one of my favorite comedians, Jim Gaffigan. It's called King Baby. It's a Comedy Central comedy series movie. Before all these social media platforms and different things became popular, Comedy Central was the place to go for stand-up comedy specials. Here's one with two actors at their prime, Kim Basinger and Val Kilmer in The Real McCoy. It's a sexy action movie. Robert Redford and Michelle Pfeiffer, Up Close and Personal. Another romantic movie by John Avnet. Next up, we have Good Boy. It's another dog movie, one of the year's best family films. You're not going to offend anybody with a movie like this, unless you don't like dogs. Here's another one with Nicole Kidman, a really fine actress, and Colin Firth, called Before I Go to Sleep. It's a stunning, powerful movie with an important message about psychiatric health. Here's one. Oh, you thought the Pocahontas story was over? No. We have a lot more to go with Pocahontas. This is Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World, featuring her raccoon and her little pug, which is a Chinese dog. I don't know how she got it, but that's fine. Next up, another Christmas movie featuring the woman from The View called Call Me Claus. She's got to save Christmas? Is this another Christmas movie where you have to become Santa? Kind of like the Tim Allen movies that I love so much. Well, I didn't know Whoopi Goldberg did it first. Excuse me. Oh, she didn't do it first? Oh, this is 2001? So she just stole Tim Allen's movies, the Santa Claus? Oh. Here's a movie called Quicksand. Michael Keaton and Michael Caine. Two Michaels. Too good of a movie. He's running for his life and running out of time. Here's another Disney movie, a lot of people's favorite Disney character, Tinkerbell, and the epic life of the Neverbeast. Here's a film part of the Marvel series of films. This is Iron Man 3 with Robert Downey Jr. You've probably seen this in theaters because everybody has. Next up, a movie called I Am 4 from the director of Disturbia and producer Michael Bay. There's sure to be a lot of explosions with Michael Bay involved. Here's another one featuring Al Pacino and Matthew McConaughey called Two for the Money. This is the widescreen version. And it's a football movie, and it looks like Matthew McConaughey is another agent. He's done that before. Here's Abigail Breslin in Kit Kittredge, An American Girl. My niece is a big fan of the American Girl dolls, and this is an American Girl movie. Here's one called Vampires, featuring Richard Carroll Jr., Malik Burke, and Leela Blake Palmer. It's Brothers in Blood. So this is an African-American look at vampires. Next up, we have Don Bluth's Banjo and the Woodpile Cat. Wow, I haven't heard that in forever. I vaguely remember this Don Bluth animated movie, and now I own it. It's rated G for everybody. Here's one called Breathing Room. Obey the rules or face the consequences. Another scary-looking film. This looks like it had independent funding. This is a lower budget movie, but it still could be really good. Here's one, I don't even remember buying this. It's called Almost Naked Animals, It's My Party. Is this one of those Cartoon Network type things where it's a subversion of cartoons? Not sure what this is, but it does pique my interest. Next up, a movie called Dead Zone, based on characters from the Stephen King novel. We've all heard of the Dead Zone and Stephen King's books. His books seem to trail on a bit for me, and they don't quite make sense, but maybe this is better as a movie than a book. Here's a documentary movie called Hair, I think. It's a sealed DVD. It's an entertaining and powerful tribute to the turbulent spirit of the 60s. Here's a film that was required watching for me in high school. It's called An Inconvenient Truth, A Global Warning. Now, a lot of the claims made in this movie so far haven't come true, but I suppose it's still a possibility. Here's another one, a sealed version, of a young Denzel Washington in a movie called Ricochet. He's a cop and he's accused of murder. He has to prove his innocence or go to jail. This is an HBO home video. Here's a comedian I also enjoy very much. It's called Dysfunctional Family by Eddie Griffin. He actually plays a comedian in this movie, which isn't too far of a stretch, considering he is one. It's about a hilarious family reunion and revealing wildly entertaining comedy gem. I'm sure this is actually genuinely funny. Next up, an even lower budget Blue Crush. All of the fun of spring break with none of the hangovers, the real Cancun. This actually has a cool blue case. I'll probably hold on to this case for something else. Here's another confusing looking DVD. It's called Megiddo, the Omega Code 2. This is all about the end of the world and Armageddon. Maybe it's a religious movie with some religious undertones. It's about the ancient battle for Armageddon. Next up, we have a movie called Tool Mules for Sister Sarah. Clint Eastwood with his famous Clint Eastwood type outfit on. And Shirley MacLaine. I've never seen Shirley MacLaine under 100 years old, so it's interesting to see her like this. Here's that classic Hasbro game everybody's played, Battleship, but they made a movie version of it with Rihanna. You can stand under her umbrella, Ella, if this is happening. How could you go wrong making a full-length movie based on a boring game? I'm sorry, that was a little harsh. I'm sure it's entertaining. It looks like they spent a lot of money on it. Here's another Disney film called Vampirina. It's a Disney Junior movie. Meet the new girl on the block. It's an animated vampire movie. And we have Fiddler on the Roof. Un Violet sur la Toit. 40th anniversary of the famous movie Fiddler on the Roof. Continuing on, we have a movie called Dreamgirls with Beyonce Knowles. Beyonce, of course, gave up on her movie acting career and just decided to stick to music and her relationship with Jay-Z. Here's a TV series from the 90s called Blossom. It was a series I remember being on TV, and it was one of my sister's favorites. This includes 10 episodes of the 90s sitcom. Here we have Hamlet 2, featuring Steve Coogan and a cast of misfits. This is from the producers of Little Miss Sunshine. Apparently it's a comedy heaven. Everyone's familiar with the Dr. Dolittle movie. Well, this is a little-known sequel called Tale to the Chief, another movie featuring animals and dogs specifically. There's even a Dr. Dolittle, A Tinseltown Tale, coming to DVD fall 2008. Here's one you don't see every day. This is Burt Reynolds' Sharky's Machine. America's manliest man for many decades. He's featured in this movie that you probably can't find in too many places. It's Gutsy, the best American film noir since Body Heat. Okay, they were still making film noir in the 70s. Interesting. An animated film I've heard of, Norm of the North. Family animated film on DVD by Lionsgate. Here's one that did very well in China, the live-action remake of Disney's Mulan. This is the DVD-only version. Another reason to get rid of Disney+. Sylvester Stallone in Avenging Angelo. Her life is his job. He's a bodyguard of some sort, it appears, and this is a previously rented copy from Blockbuster. Here we go. Here's a Saturday Night Live Best of Adam Sandler. He would go on to make so many comedy movies and become a big star. This is his early days when he was on SNL. Here's a movie I know was very popular back in the day called Fried Green Tomatoes. This is the extended version, and this is a sealed copy of this movie. Here we go, something interesting. This is a music videos from Kenny Chesney. This is a 6 music video collection. One of the biggest country stars of the early and mid 2000s. Here's a movie called Alpha Dog featuring Big Timberlake himself, Justin Timberlake, who actually I think turned out to be a good actor. I enjoy his movies very much. This is his movie Alpha Dog that came out in 2007. Here's something I know nothing about. It looks crazy. Judging based on the cover, it looks like a very confusing movie. They say it's a comedy movie, but it looks like it has some scary hijinks involved. This is a it's not Spanish movie. Filipino movie, maybe. Hopefully there's subtitles. Here's something that I couldn't figure out exactly what it was. It's called Explore Felicity's World, an interactive trivia challenge. So this is more of an interactive DVD, and this isn't even a movie. Tour the streets of Williamsburg and learn about the places Felicity visited. So it's an interactive challenge trivia game. Here's the updated version of The Princess Bride, the 20th Anniversary Collector's Edition. This is a very interesting cover. You look at here, it has this side of it, and then you flip it over, and it has the side where they're old. This is the original movie. It's been remastered in 2007. Here's a movie with a lot of great actors in it, but it flew under the radar. Viggo Mortensen, Ed Harris, Renee Zellweger, Jeremy Irons. In this cowboy western movie with nail-biting suspense. This one came out in 2008. Here's a movie I have seen and enjoyed very much. It's been a while since I've seen it. This is U-571, the World War II submarine movie. This one's another rare DVD called Death of a Cheerleader. She would do anything to be popular, even kill. So she's a cheerleader who has a psychotic tint to her. Good performances from both teens and adults. Another classic Steven Seagal. You would think that he's still a big movie star, based on how many DVDs of him I actually have here. He's a cop with attitude, and he's above the law. I think this is one of the performances that made him an action star back in the day. Here's a rodeo movie, you don't see a lot of these, featuring Luke Perry, Stephen Baldwin, called 8 Seconds. 8 Seconds? I thought that was about something else. He's a bronco buster with Academy Award-winning director John G. Avildsen from Rocky. Another Saturday Night Live best of, Dana Carvey, one of my favorite comedians from Saturday Night Live. He had so many great characters, and it's always fun to watch Saturday Night Live and get a glimpse of the politics and the things going on at the time. Here's one that my sister and I grew up on, called The Big Comfy Couch. This is the best of season 2, and I believe it was a PBS program in the 90s that was very comedic. Here's a young Tom Cruise in All the Right Moves, the classic movie with Leah Thompson. The movie from 1983. Here's a Family Guy special called Family Something Something Dark Side Guy. This is a parody on Star Wars that Family Guy put out. Here's a film called Gross Anatomy. I don't think they mean gross as in disgusting, but gross as in a large amount, with Matthew Modine. Funny, rousing, and very touching. This is about a med student who falls in love, I'm assuming. Here's another TV show, a 2 DVD disc set of Spin City, featuring Michael J. Fox. This is when he was doing TV after his Back to the Future fame. Here's an updated version of Tarzan, featuring Alexander Skarsgård, Samuel L. Jackson, and beautiful Margot Robbie. This is another one that flew under the radar for me. This one came out in 2016. This is a hip-hop DVD called Two Turntables and a Microphone, The Life and Death of Jam Master Jay. He played a big part in hip-hop and rap in New York, and unfortunately he was murdered. He trained 50 Cent to be such a popular rapper, and he was gone too soon. Here's I Dream of Jeannie. I used to watch the reruns of this on the TV in the 90s, and these are the fan favorites of I Dream of Jeannie, including the one where she gets married. I don't know how to pronounce this. Joyeux Noel, Merry Christmas, Christmas Eve, 1914. This is a World War I movie, and it was an Academy Award Golden Globe nominee. This is a stark look at World War I. The DVD came out in 2005. Oops. Here's a comedy special from Dana Carvey. This looks like about 2005, called Squatting Monkeys Tell No Lies. Dana Carvey, the master of voices and impressions. He's sure to be funny in this comedy special. Here we have Same Time Next Year, Alan Alda and Ellen Burstyn. They're both familiar. I can't quite put my finger on what I've seen them in before. Tracing the unique 26-year relationship between two people who happen to be married to other people. Oh, cheater, pumpkin eater. Here's a movie called Revolutionary Road with Kate Winslet and Leo DiCaprio. They teamed up again after Titanic in this film from 2006. Another Leonardo DiCaprio movie, this was in the 90s, called The Basketball Diaries. This was perhaps gave him his big start. This was a couple years before Titanic, and perhaps they saw his performance in this and decided to give him the position. They call him the later-day James Dean. Those are big shoes to fill. Here's a movie by Tom Selleck called Crossfire Trail, another cowboy western type film. Here's a strange one. This is an MTV TV show called The American Mall. This was after the popularity of High School Musical. MTV wanted to cash in on the same kind of premise and plot. Here's a series that means a lot to me. I was actually really excited when I saw this at the thrift store. This is the Magic School Bus, the complete series, put out by Scholastic. This was an educational TV show in the 90s that you could learn a lot about science, technology, and all sorts of different interesting things with some comedy put in between. There's Miss Frizzle and her and this one, and Ralphie and her and Arnold, and then we got Carlos and the other guy. This is a series I'm glad I got my hands on, and I'll forever have every episode of The Magic School Bus on DVD. There was only 52 episodes, but they meant so much to us growing up. Here's a movie featuring Jim Caviezel called The Count of Monte Cristo. This is before he played The Passion of Christ. It looks kind of like the Zorro. Here's another spooky movie called Haunting in America. It features fascinating adventures beyond death's door, hosted by Michael Dorn. This is a 2 DVD set. Pop it out here. We have 2 DVDs of them exploring different paranormal activity throughout America. Here's another TV show I enjoyed very much called Viva La Bam. This is the complete first season. Bam Margera took his fame from the Jackass movie series and made it into his own MTV TV show, where he did a lot of pranks and basically tortured his parents for everyone to watch. Moving on, we have another film called Boys of Fall. This is another football movie, and it's a film from Kenny Chesney. Here's a double pack of action called Nature Unleashed Fire and Crash Landing, featuring people I've never heard of. These are kind of B movies that I got, but it's very interesting to see how they can complete such a high action movie on such a low budget. Here's a TV show that used to be very popular on Comedy Central called Mind of Mencia. Carlos Mencia was kind of run out of comedy because he was caught stealing other people's material. Nevertheless, he was very popular in 2006. Here's another show I used to watch reruns of called The Carol Burnett Show. This features lost episodes, and it's a 7 DVD collector's edition, featuring 18 unedited classic episodes that you can't find anywhere else. It was actually seen on TV, no pun intended. It also has 5 hours of bonus features. Here's another triple pack of excellent movies, like Peter Pan, Thunderbirds, and one of my favorites, The Borrowers. This is a great value. I got it half off at $2 for 3 movies. Here's another movie called Jonah Hex. Josh Brolin and Megan Fox. Also John Malkovich. Josh Brolin and Megan Fox sizzle together. Here's another great 9 movie collection. That's a lot of movies. This is called the Creature Collection. Features 8 movies over 11 total hours. That's a lot of hours for $2. Featuring She-Beast, Curse of the Wolf, Blood Predator, Chupacabra vs. the Alamo, Horrors of Spider Island, Mesa of Lost Women, Juggernaut, and House of Mystery. You don't need to know who the actors are. It's 10 movies. Just buy it. Wait a minute. Was I bamboozled? The movie inside is called Horror Classic, but it says it's Creature Collection. Well, that happens sometimes. Always check your desks when checking out at the thrift store. Here's a movie before Will Smith slapped Chris Rock called Concussion. Maybe Will Smith gave Chris Rock a concussion. This is a movie that came out before all that mess. The best performance of Will Smith's career. Here's a pirate movie that's trying to follow the coattails of Pirates of the Caribbean called Blackbeard. It looks like a lower budget version of that film. Ruthless Leader, Violent Raider, Merciless Killer. Here's another film with Richard Gere called Strike Force. This is a very low budget release of this film. Look how thin this DVD is. Nonetheless, it features a young Richard Gere in a law enforcement action thriller. Here's a film I actually had to purchase online because I couldn't find it in any thrift stores. This is a film featuring Nicolas Cage and Elizabeth Shue called Leaving Las Vegas. I highly recommend this movie. It's very sad and deals with depressing issues like alcoholism. It has excellent acting and really did touch my soul. Here's another Richard Gere movie, Primal Fear. This was when he was at the top of his Hollywood career. Here's a film called Delta Force One, The Lost Patrol. Gary Daniels, Mike Morris, Bentley Mitchum. I don't know much about those actors, but that's an excellent DVD cover. That'll just reel you right in. And this guy looks like Alex Jones. Elite Commandos leap into action in this film. Came out in 2000. Here's a Warner Brothers movie called Quest for Camelot. They were trying to compete with the huge Disney movies and animators at the day and produced this film. You may have seen the newer version of Journey to the Center of the Earth, but this was the original with Treat Williams, Jeremy London, and Brian Brown. This features those monsters that were basically humans in suits. Here's another Whoopi Goldberg film called Bogus, featuring Gerard Depardieu and the kid from Sixth Sense. This looks like a heartwarming tale. Next up, Battle for Britain. This is the quintessential movie about the Battle for Britain, done with real British actors. This sequel to Ghost Rider, this is Spirit of Vengeance, and this is a sealed copy with Nicolas Cage. I've seen the first one. I have to catch up and watch the sequels as well. They claim it's an absolute blast. This is about the TV show American Idol, the search for a superstar. This was 2002 at the beginning of American Idol. I have the sealed version. Here's a complete series of a TV show called Pan Am. Now, I'm not really familiar with the series, but I love that mid-century aesthetics. It reminds me almost of Mad Men, so it drew me in right away. This is all about the jet age in the 50s and 60s. 591 minutes. For half off, $4. Here's a film called Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties, another family-friendly movie featuring Garfield. Here's a scary movie called Wendigo. Some myths are real. It's a genuinely bone-chilling tale called Wendigo. Have you guys seen this one? They call it darkly beautiful and genuinely scary. But what's more scary than a single white female? 2. The Psycho. It's a roommate with killer instincts. This was another Blockbuster rental that I got for half off at $2. Here's a movie called Heidi. This is a famous movie from the 60s, I believe, about a German girl. Next up, the complete 8th season of SpongeBob SquarePants. This is actually when they were really cooking in the 8th season. There's a lot of funny episodes to be seen here. The 8th season was really a good one, with 4 discs. Everybody knows the Fast and Furious franchise, but this one is called Nightclub. And they really did try to copy the feeling that Fast and Furious gave. Featuring less well-known actors, I'm curious how close they got to the feel of Fast and Furious. Do you want to know a secret? I think everybody does. With Joseph Lawrence, young people get murdered, like in the movie Scream. Gosh darn it. This looks like one of those big-budget movies of the 50s with Yul Brynner called Solomon and Sheba. They spent a lot of movie to make this, and it's only right that I watch it. Everybody kind of thinks of Matthew McConaughey as a surfer, so he made this movie called Surfer Dude. He said, everyone thinks I'm a surfer, let me just make this movie in 2008. Here's an animated film featuring Forrest Whitaker called Dragon Hunters. Movie was released June 13th, and it was originally purchased at Walmart. Next up, Home of the Brave, a film by Irwin Winkler. I'm pretty sure Samuel L. Jackson's too old to be fighting in any war, but it does also feature 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson. I love 50 Cent in any movie role he's in. Here's a big 20 movie pack. It's a family pack featuring Shirley Temple, Mickey Rooney. There's a lot of old classics to watch here, and if you're a fan of old cinema, this is a great option for you. Look at all those films it includes. Here's a comic book action hero by Woody Harrelson called Defendor. Harrelson is fantastic from start to finish. This may be a comedic look at superhero movies. Everyone loves Dominoes, but this is Domino, Single, by Keira Knightley and Mickey Rourke. An action movie with a lot of guns. This is an interesting DVD set I got. These are actually 4 DVDs in a TV series called Space, 1999. While it is, say, 1999, this series came out, I believe, in 1975. It's an interesting look at the technology they thought would be out by 1999. Of course, a lot of predictions are wrong, and while we do have fantastic technology nowadays, it's not quite as much as they thought it would be. Documentary movie about Elvis, king of entertainment, his life and his career. He did so much in his life. The Silver Stallion with Russell Crowe. This is about a man and his love for a horse. Cousins by Ted Danson. Well, I sure hope they're not cousins, but I guess I'll have to watch the movie and find out. Oh, here's a silly one for you. It's called Darby O'Gill and the Little People, featuring Sean Connery, Albert Sharp, and Janet Monroe. Is Sean Connery in a Leprechaun movie? How could I pass up on something like that? R.I.P. to Morgan Spurlock. This was his sequel to the movie about McDonald's called Where in the World is Osama bin Laden? Interesting thing about this film is it's a Blockbuster exclusive, meaning you couldn't buy it anywhere else. I don't know if he helped to find Osama bin Laden, but he at least tried, and that's more than most of us can say. Here's a movie featuring 2 German guys and a cat called Siegfried and Roy, Mirage in Las Vegas. They were king entertainers in the 90s, and everyone went from all over the world to see their performance in Las Vegas with live Siberian tigers. And it actually has a really cool DVD case with a holographic type image. Here's a movie called Suicide Kings with a lot of young actors. Christopher Walken's the bad guy in this one. Christopher Walken plays the same character in every movie, and he can't change his voice. Here's a double feature, Silverado and The Quick and the Dead, 2 great cowboy movies. And look who we have here, Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe. Here's a movie called Deadly Pursuits with Tori Spelling. Her dad is a famous movie producer and got a lot of movie roles. but maybe she's actually good in this one. One of my dad's favorite directors, Alfred Hitchcock. This is The Legend Begins. This actually has 20 movie classics inside of it. A great value to watch Alfred Hitchcock movies. He's studied by a lot of modern directors who get into the suspense category of films. Here's kind of a lower budget movie called Midnight's Child. Don't know who any of these actors are, but the DVD cover interested me greatly. It says it came out in 1992. I was a big fan of the original Joe Dirt, and I was highly disappointed with this movie, Joe Dirt 2, but I still wanted it in my collection. Maybe I'll give it another shot. This is interesting. It's a promo version of Joe Dirt 2, and it's a sealed version. Here's a movie with Clint Eastwood in the 80s called Coogan's Bluff. Prisoner on the loose and a cop over the edge. Find out who wins in Coogan's Bluff. There's been different variations of this movie, but this is the Anthony Hopkins version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And if you don't like that version, you can watch this, The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. This is when his life is going well and everything's fine. The first movie, he kind of lives in turmoil, but it looks like he's really turned things around. Here's another movie with Sean Connery called Presidio. It's another action suspense thriller with the great Sean Connery back at it again. You've seen the first Lion King, but probably have not seen this. This is The Lion King 1.5. This is between the movies 1 and 2. It's hilarity and hijinks with all your friends from Lion King. Here's a sniper movie with Dennis Hopper called Straight Shooter. Another lower budget action movie. Well, I don't know if it's lower budget. It looks like a great sniper film. Michael Douglas and Evan Rachel Wood in King of California. Michael Douglas is a fine actor, and anything he's in, I would probably enjoy. Katherine Heigl in a movie called The Descendant, with a bonus movie inside called Roman by Kristen Bell. Is it really? Oh, it is in here. It's a 2-pack movie on 1 disc. Hopefully they didn't skimp on the quality of the DVD. Next up, a movie by Miley Cyrus called LOL. You can change your status, but not your heart. Here's a dance movie called Center Stage. Roger Ebert and Richard Roeper gave it 2 thumbs up. Well, good enough for me. Here's a movie I saw in theaters. If you're a fan of Quentin Tarantino, you will not be disappointed by this movie. It has all the features a Quentin Tarantino movie is supposed to have. Gratuitous violence and suspenseful action. The great Francis Ford Coppola in Youth Without Youth. Interesting. This is an interesting DVD set I found. It actually has a wood case and features 4 different movies. This is a collection of old, obscure movies put out by Alpha Video. Next up, we have Season 2 of Survivor, the complete Season 2 of Survivor. This is one I used to watch growing up, and I'm glad I have it now on DVD. I can remember all these people. I got a good deal, half off, $2 for this whole thing. Next up, Dave Attell, famous, great stand-up comedian, and his Insomniac tour, featuring Dane Cook at his prime and Greg Giraldo, roastmaster himself. Here's a double-pack Clint Eastwood movie, True Crime and Absolute Power. You can't go wrong with Clint Eastwood. Here's a DreamWorks film called Whacked Out Holiday DVD. It branches off from the Penguin series, and they put out a Christmas special DVD for everyone to enjoy. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. This is a comedic look at the paranoia of Russians after World War II, during the Cold War. Here's a political film featuring Chris Klein and Elijah Wood called Day Zero. 30 days will define their lives and test their patriotism. Here's another sealed movie with Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, and Bradley Cooper called Joy, a must-see. I don't remember when this one came out, but it does have fantastic actors that were in Silver Lining Playbook. Another Comedy Central DVD with a cool case. This is The Cult of Cartman, and it almost looks like a book when it's sitting on your shelf. The Cult of Cartman Revelations, one of my favorite characters in South Park. I love to capture any South Park DVDs I can find. Here's the old Batman movie, the original Batman movie with Robin. I really think they should bring Robin back. Does anyone agree with me? Adam West and Burt Ward in the original. I'm a big fan of Comedy Central, and this is the complete 4th season of Reno 911. I know I have other seasons in my collection, and this is another one to add. Here's a documentary DVD called The 70s, Bell Bottoms to Boogie Shoes. This is the sealed version of this film, and it follows pop culture of the 70s. Pitney Swope, The Truth and Soul Movie, a film by Robert Downey Sr., Robert Downey Jr.'s dad. It's the Time for Giving, The Christmas Shoes with Rob Lowe, a heartwarming Christmas tale. This is something a little different. This is called Whacked Out Sports, episode 1 through 4. It shows all the blips and bloopers of professional athletes. A DVD so good it hurts. What? What does that mean? Next up, here's a real chick flick for you. Sex and the City, the movie, extended cut. It comes with a pair of Milano Blahniks. No, I'm just kidding, it doesn't. Sensational and beautiful more than ever. I wonder if I could just watch this without having to watch the whole TV series. A very underrated comedian. This is Brian Regan, the epitome of hyperbole. If you haven't seen Brian Regan, I recommend you do. He's very funny and underrated. Here's a film with Marky Mark called Fear, Together Forever or Else. He's basically an abusive boyfriend and he goes crazy. Steve Martin, The Wild and Crazy Comedy Movie Collection. This has 3 movies of Steve Martin's, all for the price of one. I bought this just because it said Daniel Day-Lewis. I never heard of it, but this is his early work in My Beautiful Laundrette. I'm not sure what it's about, but I'd love to check it out. In the early days of the internet, they released this movie called Chat Room, Surfing for Cyber Booty. So apparently he was excited about learning about the internet and that you can meet girls on it. And so he goes crazy in the chat rooms, chatting up every woman he can find. And it looks like he's pretty successful. Gary Daniels in Fatal Blade. Another lower budget type action movie. Don't know much about it. Looks interesting. Disney Pixar's Luca, an animated film. Everyone can enjoy Luca. Another animated film. Disney Pixar The Good Dinosaur. They make so many animated films now, it's hard to keep up. Here's a football movie featuring an actual football star, Reggie White, one of the best linemen in the NFL of all time. Robert De Niro in a movie called The Swap. He serves a 12-year sentence and tries to find the killer of his younger brother. Here's a fighting movie called The Ultimate Game They Play for Keeps. Looks like it has similar to vibes of Mortal Kombat. 2 great actors in this one, Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts in Conspiracy Theory. And it turns out Mel Gibson actually is a big conspiracy theorist in real life. Oh, here we have an interesting DVD booklet showing all the DVD releases coming out soon, like Twister, Wizard of Oz, Space Jam, Thelma and Louise, Spawn, Singing in the Rain, Robin Hood, Rocky. So many great DVDs, so little time. We're getting down to the bottom of my DVDs, folks. Thanks for watching. And if you like what you see, please give me a like down below. This is Family Guy, Partial Terms of Endearment, banned from TV. I love how the DVD cover exposes Peter Griffin. That's so funny. This is a cool red DVD. I'm a big fan of American Dad as well as Family Guy. Another Family Guy movie called It's a Trap, another Star Wars sequel from Family Guy. Here's a film called Aliens in the Attic, a CGI film featuring aliens. A movie called 33, Discover the Miraculous Story of these miners getting trapped underground for 33 days in 2010. In Love and War, a young, beautiful Sandra Bullock and Chris O'Donnell. I think this is World War II again. Here's a film with Jennifer Aniston, a very good comedic actress, and Stephen Zane, called Management, another pre-owned blockbuster movie. A pre-owned movie, but it still looks in great condition, the DVD. Big action movie, Charles Bronson, called Murphy's Law. This is a nice sealed copy of this movie. Here's a kung fu kind of movie called Iron Fists by Quentin Tarantino and RZA, famous rapper from the Wu-Tang Clan. One of the most famous comedy specials of all time by Eddie Murphy called Raw. This is in the 80s when he was at the peak of his comedic career. Born in East LA, Cheech Marin, famous pothead in this film. I'm a big fan of Jamie Foxx, one of the most talented actors, comedians, and performers. He's in Ray, The Kingdom, Miami Vice, and Jarhead, all excellent films. Here's a DVD featuring David Blaine called Fearless. Blaine is the hottest name in magic right now. I'm assuming this is the late 90s. This is his Getting Frozen in Ice era. Dragonheart, the franchise collection. This has 2 movies in one. Famous fantastical movie about dragons. I got both DVDs here. Here's Jim from The Office in a movie called 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. That's a dark and intense topic. I'm sure it was done well. A movie with Jeff Bridges and Tim Robbins called Arlington Road. Your paranoia is real. Awesome performances with a brainy plot. Young Julia Roberts in a movie called Mary Riley, The Battle Between Good and Evil. This is a movie revolving around the church, I believe. Here's a big monster movie mix of 12 total films. 12 films and they don't list one of them. We have to open it up and find out. 12 great movies like Night of the Blood Beast, The Alien Factor, The Amazing Transparent Man, The Return of Andrew Bentley. Wow, some of these movies are short films, 23 minutes, 30 minutes. Anyway, interesting. Another JTT classic called Tom and Huck, a Walt Disney movie. It's based on an old book, and it's an adventure movie. Oh, this is interesting. You don't see this every day. You see this orange thing going around this DVD? It's actually a DVD protector. It's a very thin, transparent sheet of plastic. And what this does is it protects your DVDs from scratches and damages. You don't see these a lot anymore, but they used to be very popular. Do you guys remember those? Probably not a bad idea to invest in some of those myself. Here's a favorite childhood movie of mine, The Indian in the Cupboard. It was based on a beloved children's novel, and there's so many great quotables from this movie, like, "Plastic, you're plastic." Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, two manly men, Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson. They're just riding stuff and blowing stuff up. Ardennes Fury, based on true events during World War II. This is a real stark look at what really happened in World War II in France. Cat Williams, Priceless Afterlife. Cat Williams is one of my favorite comedians, and he's never disappointed. Here's a documentary DVD that's never been so prescient as it is today. It says, "The film they don't want you to see, from cover-up to catastrophe." This is more of a conspiratorial type of film, and it follows these kinds of things that I'm not going to speak about. Here's the best of Johnny Carson, a sealed 35 episodes of his classic TV talk show from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. He was on TV forever. One of my favorite silly comedies, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, and the unrated Escape from Guantanamo Bay. A great value double feature. And I love when they actually separate the DVDs like this so you can see what it is from a DVD case. Here's another motocross movie called MX Anthology. This follows all the crazy things that Fox Racing did and all these motocross people. And here's the original classic, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the one you grew up with on Disney. Don't need Disney Plus anymore, I guess. Getting down to the nitty-gritty here, folks. Here's a movie called Selena, the beloved Latina singer, starring Jennifer Lopez in one of her breakout roles. Here's a movie called Fathead. You've been fed a load of baloney. I think this movie is claiming that fast food is actually not bad for you. I think it is, though. Next up, Dr. T and the Women. Richard Gere and a bunch of women in this film. He falls in love with all of them. Black Cobra. I don't know if this is a blaxploitation film, but it features Fred Williamson, and he plays a cop in New York. Here's another movie with a lot of information in it. It's called, you see what it's called. It says, Hidden Facts Are Revealed. I don't know if this is a pro or not movie. Well, judge for yourself. Here's another film called The Robin Hood Gang. This looks like a fun movie for kids to watch. A really awesome Toy Story. A lower budget movie from the 90s. It kind of reminds me of the movie Blank Check. Here's a 2-movie DVD collection, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of Shadows and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The First. A great value for $2 for both movies. The New Centurions, George C. Scott and Stacy Keach. This is a copper movie from the 70s. Another Family Guy collection, the Friggin' Sweet collection. The Cutting Edge. This is a movie about a couple trying to get to the Olympics in ice skating. This is a non sequitur. This one is actually classic commercials. There's over 200 classic commercials from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. This is a nostalgic trip, and look at what people were trying to sell on TV back in those days. Another 4-pack film classics from Clint Eastwood. He made and directed so many movies. It's just like Pokemon. You gotta get them all. Living with Tigers. This is a Discovery Channel documentary on the life of tigers. Heaven Help Us. It features Donald Sutherland and Kevin Dillon. They're religious boys growing out of St. Basil, growing up in Brooklyn in 1965. Eddie Murphy, The Distinguished Gentleman. Hilarious, says New York Times. It's about a small-time con man who runs for Congress. Here's a scary movie for kids called Goosebumps, called Scary House, in this awesome pink DVD case. I'm actually going to be doing a video on how I organize my DVDs. Unfortunately, I don't have space for all these big DVD cases, so what I do is I take them out and put them in a sleek DVD case. I put them in the Sanwa 160 DVD case, and if you're interested in buying one for yourself, you can use the link down below. There's an Amazon link, and it's my favorite way to organize DVDs. Here's a movie called Excalibur. This is a lower budget movie, and it looks foreign. Here's a movie with 2 great rappers, Ice-T and Silk the Shocker. It ain't my fault, did I do that? It ain't my fault, did I do that? Cross the line, pay the price. It's called Corrupt. And look, he's even holding the gun sideways. Here's a movie with Molly Shannon called Year of the Dog, from the writer and director of School of Rock. So it's going to have similar vibes to that. It's about an old woman who finds companionship with a dog instead of a man. Sons of Liberty, a 5-hour epic event. I love history and I love historical films. This is one about the Revolutionary War in America. Here's an ironic movie. It's called VHS, but I have it on DVD. Go figure. A movie called Dead Girl. Unfortunately, Brittany Murphy was taken from us too soon, and she would in turn herself be a dead girl. This was one of the top films of 2006. Next up, another iteration of Hansel and Gretel, featuring the guy from the Marvel movies, the guy that shoots bow and arrow. Isn't that funny? He shoots a crossbow in this movie, and in the Marvel movies, he shoots a bow and arrow. Yours, Mine, and Ours. A tale kind of like Brady Bunch, where two people with big families have to work it out and get together and live as one big family. This isn't the Wolves on Wall Street that you know. This is an earlier film called Wolves on Wall Street. This one came out in 2002, and these are more like vampires than actual wolves. Here's a film that I saw online called Tenet by Christopher Nolan. Almost everything Christopher Nolan is excellent. And this movie will really have you thinking. There's a lot of plot twists and turns, and it was worth a second watch. Here's a movie called Anne Rule and Never Let Her Go. This is a powerful seduction thriller called Anne Rule. Classic, classic, classic. What more can you say about Bambi? This is one of the movies that started it all with Disney and made it so popular. The Next Karate Kid with Hilary Swank. This is a young Hilary Swank before she took a lot of serious roles. This is more of a kids action movie called The Next Karate Kid. It's a girl this time. Here's a movie similar to Speed. They copied the idea. In this one, they're addicted to stealing fast cars with David Arquette. The Secret Life of Pets, voiced by a lot of famous actors like Kevin Hart. This is a movie that I'm actually glad I found. It's a wrestling documentary in the late 90s, and it features a true look at how wrestlers live and how their life is not all glitz and glory. It's a lot of pain and a lot of hard times they go through. Here's a silly one, an Easter bunny puppy. It's a puppy dressed as a bunny, and it's so silly, I don't know if I can watch it. If you're a fan of anime, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokemon, this is one called Duel Masters. Go ahead, make my duel. It looks like they were trying to sell this movie for $10, then $3, then $2, and etc. I bought it for $2. Here's a movie about a love guru called The Love God. So many women, not enough man. He doesn't look like a woman's man, but he gets a lot of women, man. Next up, Rock Hudson, one of the Hollywood heartthrobs of his day in Man's Favorite Sport. Looks like a fishing film. You don't see those every day. This is another action motocross type movie called Eatin' Sand. ATVs, bikes, and sand drags. This is a mashup of a lot of different things. This is a mashup of Lego and Jurassic World called The Indominus Escape, an animated Lego movie you may not have heard of. Here's another great value I got. This is called The Mob Boss. This has 4 movies in here. American Gangster, Bugsy, Snatch, and Donnie Brasco. This is a sealed version for only $2. Here we have Fast 5, one of the best Fast and Furious movies, with Paul Walker still in it. Here's a more conspiratorial type film called Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. I take all this information with a grain of salt and do my own research. Another of those type films, Iraq for Sale, The War Profiteer. Make your own judgments here. And last but not least, Horror Theater, 6 Dark Tales to Make You Cringe, a horrifying 3-disc compilation. I don't buy a lot of horror films, but I do enjoy them from time to time. Well, that's it, folks. We went through all my DVDs, and I'm glad you've stuck with me to the very end of this video. I just want to remind everybody out there that it's important to have physical media. Physical media is what gives you control over what you watch instead of all those streaming platforms. And while it's hard to stay away from those streaming platforms entirely, I do think it's important to at least have a small collection of your own DVDs. If you're interested in organizing your DVDs the way I do, check out the DVD cases I have listed below. I think Sanwa is one of the best companies that make new DVD cases. It's hard to find good quality cases anymore, and I think they do a great job. If you're interested, check out the link I have down below. It'll take you to Amazon where you can check out the Sanwa cases I enjoy so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. And check out my DVD content I'll be putting out in the future. We're only getting started here on the Deluxe Show and Tell channel. Bye.